So I watched hella videos back in the day like this that are self-improvement, top 7 ways on how to do whatever, and I always thought, why don't you just give me one way? What's the best way? Why do I need 7 ways to get to the same destination? I want one way, bro. So that's what I'm going to be giving you. I'm going to be giving you one way to become productive. None of this hyper-edited, modern, self-improvement junk BS. Just how to be productive as a high achiever. That's it. And so I'm going to be quick with it, so let's get straight into it. One thing that most people know about but don't use correctly is the chronotypes, or more importantly, how their own kind of circadian rhythm is structured. We know of the circadian rhythm and we think of it, oh, that's how I should be asleep. That's how, my body clock works. So we think of it as this thing that activates in the night. But the thing is, all of these hormonal and just neural kind of functions that our body performs at these times don't only happen in the night. Of course, when it comes to sleeping and how we interact with it in terms of our sleep, that happens in the night. But this whole body clock goes all around the day. And that's what we call an ultradian rhythm. Not many people speak of this, but this is as important as it gets because realistically, 90-minute cycles are what make up your whole entire day. It's not just, these REM sleep and deep sleep phases which alternate in these 90-minute cycles, but also, like pretty much every hormone you have in your body alternates in this way. You have stress hormones, you have recovery, you have even melatonin, sleepiness, as it relates to the circadian rhythm thing, and cortisol, how awake you are, how sharp you are. Cortisol is not necessarily a bad thing. So as you can imagine, you're going to have windows where you're at peak performance and windows where you're kind of in a slump and you don't have much energy, and that's perfectly normal. It's not just carbs that do this, by the way. Now, you already have probably somewhat of an idea of how you work and when you work the best, but if you don't, that's not too much of a problem because we're going to get right into that. One thing you must know about this is that yes, some of it is genetic, yes, some of it is inherited from our ancestors, I guess, but most of it you can change. If you teach your body, you'll do it for 2 months straight, you wake up at the exact same time, you work at the exact same window, and you eat at the exact same times, or, just about those times, your body's going to get used to it. Your body's going to realize, oh damn, we're doing this habit time and time again. Maybe I should start pumping the sleepiness hormone when we're about to go to sleep. Maybe I should start pumping the stuff that makes you feel awake when you're about to enter a deep work block. And you probably have felt this before. Scientists have measured this before, that especially if you indulge in a habit at the same time in the day, you have your cigar break or your cigarette break at work, you're going to start getting the craving at that time before you usually have your cigarette, because that's what your body learned. It's the same thing. As your body develops this dependence and expectance on nicotine, it has a body clock. It knows when it should expect it and when it shouldn't. It's going to be the same thing if you're using up all of the hormones for top performance and for recovery. And just to hammer this point in one more time, this guy, Matthew Walker, he's like a sleep expert. He said that people came to the conclusion, scientists came to the conclusion through a bunch of papers that blue light is this devilish thing and it's horrible. But Matthew actually said that it's not that bad. Of course, it's not good to be consuming bright light, but blue light especially is more because of sleep procrastination. And what he means by that is, in these studies, they measured groups who consumed blue light and groups who didn't. And most of them obviously had those groups who consume blue light perform worse, sleep worse. But he said that it's actually because those people who consume blue light before going to bed are more prone to procrastinate on sleep. They're more prone to start scrolling on Netflix and, binge watching an episode and actually being late on their schedule. Okay, they're more likely to stay up playing video games or doom scrolling on IG because they're going to cheat on their schedule. And it's not actually directly because of the blue light that they're going to have worse quality sleep because of. It's because you went to sleep 20 minutes later than your body's used to. You're not going to be asleep when your optimal sleep window is for you. So it's really important that you follow this. Of course, if you just want to get to some basic goals, which, you can already be 95% of people just not even giving a fuck about this. But this channel is for those people who actually want to really improve in life and to actually lock in. You don't have to follow it all the time, but it's incredibly important that you do if you're trying to get to optimal performance. What I would recommend you do is you just stick one work block in your day, no matter what. You stick to this. So for example, you wake up at 6. This could be a side hustle. You have your 9 to 5 from 9 to 5 or 6 or whatever the case may be. And you have this side hustle that you're doing and you just decide, listen, I'm going to wake up at 5:30 and from 6 to 9, I'm going to be focused on my side hustle. This is going to be a non-negotiable block. On the weekends, I'm going to do it. On the weekdays, I'm going to do it. And my body is going to get used to me working at this time. Now, you could do the traditional approach of if someone picks up a side hustle, what they're going to do. They're just going to squeeze in a work block whenever they can, have the time, which is okay if your work requires shallow tasks. But if your work actually requires brain power, you need to actually be present and really focused, this is going to work 99 times better, trust me. And even if you're like an executive, even if you're like a high-level CEO or something, imagine not having meetings scattered all over the day. Imagine having your meetings restricted to a window, because bookings won't go down that much, especially if you're like with your employees. You can tell them when to book with you, right? So just have, like, as Alex Hormozi says it, maker and manager time. Don't mix the two up. When you're in your maker time, when you're actually focusing on the tasks that drive the most growth, the biggest levers, do that. Train your body to be used to that. And when you can do the more shallow tasks, which are maybe conversations, maybe just looking at some, basic information, copy pasting, etc., you can do that when you're in more of a slump. You can do that whenever you feel like it. It's not that big of a deal. And the biggest question you might have now is, okay, I've been trying to do this, but how do I stick to it? Like, I've been telling myself that I need to stick to a schedule, but I just can't. How do I stick to it? Well, let's actually logically ration through this. Let's reverse engineer how I would stick to this schedule and how I'm sticking to mine currently. So my non-negotiable schedule looks a bit like this, actually. I wake up at like just before 6. I work from like 6 to 9. Then I go to the gym if I have the gym, and then I work pretty much on the rest of the stuff that I have throughout the day. I don't really marry myself that much to my schedule because I also value freedom. I like, if there's a cool thing that I can do in an event I can go to later in the day, I don't have a block later in the day. But if I don't have anything, then I'll work. That's cool. But this one block here between 6 and 9, I always do, no matter what. Even if I stay up late at night, I'm just going to take the L. 5 hours of sleep, yeah, it's not the best, but I can deal with it, right? It's not the biggest issue if it happens like once or twice a month. So that's the first thing. You need to stick to one consistent wake up time. And quite funnily enough, the easiest way to stick to a wake up time is to stick to something even more important, which is I almost said wake down time. Get in bed or fall asleep time. After having helped a bunch of clients, my friends, and to be honest, brutally honest, even in my own life, this is one of the biggest problems. Right? This is one of the biggest problems people have, is not having the discipline to stick to a consistent sleep time. Again, as I said, once or twice you can break it, but stop coping. Because I had the mindset that, I didn't sleep 8 hours, so I'm going to push my wake up time. As long as your wake up time is consistent, you're good. Okay, this is the goal. This is the bottom line. This is the one thing that you should be sticking to. But I'm just saying, the easiest way to stick to your wake up time is to have a consistent sleep time. So if you do have the discipline to not stay up later, not tell yourself some stupid excuse like you need to finish this show, you need to talk to your old friend on Discord who you don't even fuck with anymore, just don't. Just sit down, actually lie down and fall asleep. That would be the best. Again, if you want to break it once or twice a month, that's cool, but don't make a habit out of it. Have the discipline, go to sleep, and wake up energized. And if you break it once or twice, don't cope. It's not the end of the world. Have a coffee, have a cigarette, back in the game, as a wise man once said. Keep it light though. Only have like 1 or 2 anchors. I only have like 1 anchor, 1 deep work block, which I always stick to throughout my day because I do value freedom. This way I can't really pussy out of it on the basis of, I'm not free enough, blah, blah, blah. I have only 1 thing, right? We can do 1 thing. It's not that big of a deal. So stick to it. And yeah, if you can stick to this system and you can carry this on, this is the top 1 way on how to be productive. Your body clock and your future self will thank you.